Hello, I'm Daniela. In today's video, we're going to create a patriotic wand. It can be used as a centerpiece on a table, or it can be used to wave in a parade. It's just a very patriotic wand. I'm using it based on the American flag, so it has red, white, and blue. I make it out of ribbons, and I'm going to reuse a little handheld miniature flag holder, but you can use a wooden dowel just as easily, or even a bamboo skewer. It depends on the size you want to make it. Depending on the width of the ribbon that you use and the patterns in the ribbon, you can get different results. It's not an American flag, it's just indicative of one, and it looks beautiful when it flows in the breeze. At the end of the video, I show variations on the patriotic wand, and I take them outside so you can see them moving in the breeze to get the full effect. A dolphin photobombed the video, so I kept that in the video and showed it. I slowed it down to give it just a little slow motion because I find these creatures magical. Not part of the intended filming, but certainly a nice little treat. So let's get started creating these beautiful patriotic wands. So to make our patriotic wands, the kind that blow in the breeze and they look very elegant and fun, particularly for kids at a parade to wave, the first thing you need to do is find your dowels. Now you could find wooden dowels at the craft store. You can find them at a Home Depot type store, a hardware store. There's also 1/8 inch. There's just different lengths. This is a 12-inch dowel. This is an 18-inch dowel. I prefer the longer dowels, but it's really up to you. Another option, if you don't have the dowels, is you can find these very inexpensive flags, usually at the dollar stores. And they have the little rod on them and then the very inexpensive flag. What I tend to do is break off the flag, still preserving it so that I can use it in future elements if I want. But then I have the dowel, and they usually have a little cap up top, which is a kind of a neat thing. So you could salvage that just as easily as the wooden dowel. It works the same. After you have your dowel, your base for your patriotic wand, you're going to want to cut your strips of ribbon. So after you select your dowel, just choose the ribbon you want to use, looking for something blue, something red, and something white. You can use patterns. Now I'm going to use this beautiful white crochet lace. That's going to be the white for my flag. And I like this red pattern. And now I just need to find a blue. So I'm going to choose this beautiful blue. I like the way these look together. They're all very different, but they don't compete. They kind of complement each other. So now that I have my ribbon, I need to cut it into strips. Because I'm using this dowel, which is about 1 foot, I think this one's 13 inches, I want my strips to be about 18 inches because I'm going to fold them in half. So now I have to cut enough ribbon to use for my flag. So each length is going to be 18 inches, and I like to cut it just a little bit longer because I trim them off. So I'll cut 4 strips of the blue, 4 strips of the red, and 3 strips of the white. So now I have my strips of my ribbon all cut. So now that you have your ribbon cut and your dowel ready, you're ready to start your knots. You're going to take each piece of ribbon one at a time and fold it in half and go with the color scheme that you want. I start by folding my ribbon in half, holding down the fold, and keeping it up 2 or 3 inches above the rod. Then I'll take the tail, bring it under the rod, and swing it through that loop. And then when I pull it, I have that beautiful knot. And I'll do that with every one of the threads. But before I go to the next thread, I loosen the knot because it's not going to stick on its own. There's not enough tension there. So I just loosen the thread, put a little dab of hot glue at the top of my dowel where I want my piece to go, slide my ribbon to it, and then pull it taut. Now that attaches it to the dowel, but it's still a little bit loose. So I just splay the ribbon and add a little dab of glue in the center. And that kind of cinches it in place. Hold it down until it adheres and dries. And then I have one knot. And I'll repeat this with my formula here. And I can modify it. I can add additional ribbons if I feel the blue is too thin, or I can leave out ribbons if I feel that the red and white pattern is too thick. So I'll complete the 4 remaining blue, and then we'll start the red and white pattern. So now that I have my 4 knots attached to my dowel, I'm ready to start my pattern. And again, this is the pattern I use for this flag. I'll take the red, do the same procedure, put the ribbon over the top, thread it through, cinch it, and add my glue to hold it in place. I just need a little bit. Again, I add just a dab of glue in the center, just to keep it together. Pull off any strings that remain, and I'll continue with my pattern. I'll use the white next. And I'll continue with another 2 strands. Make sure you always loop in the same direction. So if you put your loop over your dowel, make sure you continue to always put your loop over your dowel. If you prefer to put your loop under your dowel, go right ahead and do that. Just make sure all of your loops match. So I have my flag. I can add 2 more if I want, another red and the white. I like to end on the red and make sure that I have a red touching the blue. That's just the method that I use. You can alter it however you see fit. I'm going to add 2 more strips here. And so now I have all my ribbon attached for my flag. So now to trim the ribbons on the wand, I just take my scissors and I look for each pair of ribbons. You can either hold them together or trim them individually. And I just make a cut on the side. Just like that. They don't have to be evenly matched. You just want them close enough that nothing's really sticking out and looking a little strange or wonky. When it blows in the wind, it'll look beautiful. So I'll continue clipping all of my ribbons, and then I have my flag. Now let me take you outside so you can really see it in the breeze and some variations. So when I started to film the flag outside, I noticed we were photobombed by a dolphin. I put down the flag and I just recorded a little bit of the dolphin because I just think it's so magical every time I see them. But here's the flag in the wind. The dolphin will come back in a few moments. But you get to see how the ribbons wave in the wind. It's just a fun little look. And it's a little bit different than a regular flag. It's still indicative of one, but with a little bit of flair. Now these can be made in any size. This is a larger one. And here's a bunch of flags using different ribbon with the same exact technique. I think they're beautiful. So that's how I created the Patriotic wand for the video, complete with dolphin model. You can alter these wands for any type of theme or occasion, just altering the ribbons that you choose. You can make it for a different country's flag if that's your thing too. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining me today.